Welcome back. Segment number 2 of the Broad Podcaster with me, Jennifer Fierro, here in the Highland Lakes, joined with Art Dlugach, the voice of the Llano Yellow Jackets. We just got through talking about the Marble Falls Brownwood game for week 2. That's the Mustang season opener. Please check that one out because we're going to focus primarily on the Burnet Bulldogs visiting the Llano Yellow Jackets in the Jackets home opener at Llano Stadium. Art, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, I mentioned in the first segment that there should be a sellout for that game. Both teams winning their openers. Burnet playing Llano for the first time since 2017. Burnet has won the last 13 meetings against Llano. The Jackets won in 1998, my first year here, 29-19 in the rain at Burnet. Has not won since against the big rival. They have not played every year, as I mentioned, but 13-0 for the last 13. So Llano would love to get off of that schneid, and they have a very good team to do it. But Burnet, I thought, from what you told me, played well. And what I saw in the statistics and read on Chalk Talk, played well against Lavernia in winning that game. But Llano had a great offensive show and a strange defensive show in a 48-26 win at Gerald. And it was the offense that totaled 572 yards total offense. That's got to be top 10 or 12 in a single game in Llano history. Carson Kirkendall, with 5 touchdowns, ran for 225 yards. Miguel Hernandez, just about 150. And as I say, they totaled some 445 on the ground and another 127 in the air as Briggs Green, in his debut as a starting quarterback, son of the coach, brother of Maddox Green, did have a solid night as quarterback, 7 for 12. He also ran well, which is his real main point of offering to the offense. But he can pass well too, but he ran for 59 yards. The defense gave up these 3 crazy 65, 70-yard touchdown passes. Andrew Knable to Jock Spradley in the first half, and Llano's lead was down to 24-19, 27-19 at the half. Then Llano adjusted a bit to that offense of the Cougars, and Coach Matt Anastasio, the defensive coordinator, held the Cougars to 7 points in the second half. Would like to mention the defensive men that Coach Anastasio told me that worth mentioning: Manahan, Delatorre, Ulysses Martinez, Isaiah Bush, Dusty Miller, and Fitz Kennedy. So, and they total 7 sacks on the night, which is probably top 2 or 3. They had 9 a couple of years ago in a playoff game against Jourdanton. The offensive line certainly deserves mentioning when you total 572 yards of total offense. Edwards, Sandoval, Dylan Kennedy, Hayden Godfrey, Brandon Green, and Juice Lang. Boy, it is an experienced OL, and certainly they're going to get the huge test against Burnet, no question. You talk about both teams being fired up. Well, they should be, I think, for every game. When you only play 10, 12, even 16 games, you should be fired up once a week. But when it's your rival, and you know, as I've said a couple of times, the crowd is going to be big, that they're just going to be going crazy, both teams. And so Llano welcomes the Burnet fans, and we'll just have what should be a thriller. And boy, it sure is an exciting time to build it up as those two teams get together. First time since 2017.
Yeah, and let me say this. Thank you to Brian Wood, the head coach at Burnet, and Matt Green, the head coach at Llano. Thank you for scheduling this home-and-home series because, like Art said, this is the first time the two teams have played since 2017. It means something to both communities because they border each other. It is I don't know about an important rivalry. You would know more about that than I would. I would not compare it to anything because I know with where Burnet is located, Marble Falls, Llano, Lampasas, and Liberty Hill think of Burnet as a rival. So there have been other teams that these two coaches could have scheduled for week 2, and they chose to schedule each other. So thank you, coaches, for doing this.
Well, I'll just needle Coach Green. Burnet was not on the schedule for week 2 until somebody dropped out. And then he called Coach Wood, and they said, okay. So I'm so glad he did that. I know that everybody knows I'm a Llano guy. And when we say rivalry, you're probably thinking, we've won Burnet 13 in a row. You're no longer a big rival. And that's true as far as wins and losses go. But I think Llano comes in with a fine team this year and thinks it can win. And Burnet has had some down years the last couple of seasons, but they're always to be feared. So we'll still call it a rivalry since they're just 30 minutes apart.
Sure.
And a great rival with Marble Falls.
Sure. That'll be a game we'll get into in October when the two teams play in district. Let's talk about the Burnet Bulldogs for a minute. Burnet took a 22-10 lead at the half against Lavernia. Lavernia came out on fire in the third quarter, picked up a fumble that they turned into points, and then had a huge pass play for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, Lavernia is up 25-22 over the Bulldogs. Now, Burnet scratches and claws their way back in. I think that's right, because they end up getting the touchdown. Yeah, 36-25 was the final. They end up getting the touchdown from Grant Jones and then give him in a wildcat. I call it that. I was on the other side of the field. I know it was a run play. And they also give Jones the ball on the 2-point run, which he gets. That story is on TexasChalkTalk.com. Even though Tanner O'Hare did a superb job in operating the spread offense in the passing game, as they were tremendous. I think they threw for more than 200 yards. There's a strong belief that what won Burnet the game was their commitment late in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter to run the football behind their massive offensive line, where they gave the ball to senior running back Jose Rodriguez. Rodriguez had a great night, I think 22 rushes for 78 yards, somewhere around there, okay? If I am Burnet, and knowing Ben Spear, who's the defensive coordinator, I think what they're going to do is they are going to try to make Briggs Green as uncomfortable as possible and force him to win the game for the Yellow Jackets. I expect Burnet to crowd the box. I expect Burnet to go in and put massive pressure on the offensive line. Now, I will tell you this, though. I think that the Llano offensive line might be the best offensive line the Bulldogs face this season. No offense to Robert Draper and the Mustangs on that, because knowing Draper and the Mustangs, they will take that as a personal challenge. But there's no question the Llano linemen are among the elite in this region. I put them up there, especially Ross Edwards, as being one of the finest linemen that I cover in 2022.
Well, I'll say this, that what Llano, I would imagine, will do is that Briggs will get rid of that ball pretty quickly when he hands off to either Carson Kirkendall or Miguel Hernandez, and Briggs can also run himself. So he'll pass when he has to, but to avoid that pressure on him, he'll give the ball to those two outstanding running backs. It still goes down to what you said, that the Llano offensive line has got to win that battle against the defense of Burnet. And on the offensive side, I thought what Burnet really showed me, reading your story, is they were really balanced.
Yes.
Pass and run.
Yes.
So we thought that they'd be mainly a run team this year, and it seems like right after one game, they can do both.
Yes. But again, I believe that the Llano line on both sides of the football are that good. Coach Green and I spoke briefly on Sunday, and the thing that he said about the offensive line that has stayed with me is that they are smart and have great chemistry. So when they are trying to double team, if they see somebody coming in, they have enough in them and about them that one of them will make the correct call in the block, and will close off that defender from getting to the backfield. That will be imperative here because the question is going to be, are the Burnet linebackers fast enough to get past that Llano line and cause havoc back there for Briggs Green?
You're scaring me. You're scaring me. I think that was very well put and excellent analysis too. And so it should be a very fun night. And I'm going to ease back and say, being a Llano person for the 5th time tonight, that I would tell today, that I would tell you, this is not make or break for the season. This is a non-district game, and of course it has nothing to do with who gets into the playoffs. And Llano has big games coming up in district, Blanco and Marion, UC Randolph. So by the time those arrive, both of these teams, and Burnet has big games coming up with Marble Falls and Canyon Lake in the district, Lampasas,
Taylor,
yes,
Davenport.
Davenport, a team you may not have heard of. They've come on strong the last few years.
First year in varsity.
Wow.
Playing varsity ball, officially.
But they beat Blanco then without being varsity.
Sure.
And Blanco's always been good. Anyway, it's game 2, and as big as it is, and I would love to see the Jackets win. It will come and go, and the sun will rise tomorrow, as the late Bill Walsh used to say.
Check out TexasChalkTalk.com. We will have the write-ups previewing this game on Chalk Talk leading up to kickoff, 7 o'clock at Llano Stadium.
Yes, 7.
And then, of course, we will also do the follow and have the game story on Texas Chalk Talk as well. We're going to finish this up. We're going to head to segment 3 where we're going to talk about some 6-man football, Smoking for Jesus, and Faith Academy. Again, please go to TexasChalkTalk.com. That's where you'll find all of your Highland Lakes sports news. And please make sure you like, subscribe, and share the channel.